Welcome to Elysian Speaks. My name is Zishan Khan, and today we're going to be covering the Dubai commercial market. We have Malik with us. Aman, thank you for coming on to the show. How have you been?
My pleasure. Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Fantastic. Aman, I'd like to understand, why are people talking about the office market again? What's triggered this shift from residential to the office market sector?
Well, that's very interesting question, Zishan, and thanks for asking. I think it's just because of simple economics, acute shortage of supply, and ever increasing demand. I mean, we can talk about why there is acute shortage and what is triggering the demand, but the simple numbers will tell you that during the first half of this year, as per Cavendish Maxwell report, average rents for offices in Dubai increased by 25%. And in some of the prime areas such as DIFC, Business Bay, Sheikh Zayed Road, the increase was up to 35-37%. So it gives you an indication that there's a huge demand for offices. Whereas when we talk about on the other side, the occupancy rate has gone above 95%, and the offices in Dubai now rate at the second highest office market in the world after Singapore.
Okay. Well, look, what I want to try and understand is, of course, we're going to deep dive into what's really fueling the surge. But what, on the surface level, what do you think is triggering that many companies kind of being set up in this part of the world? Is it the process? You know, what makes it different from any other major city across the globe?
I think it's a combination of different elements. Economy, cost of doing business, ease of doing business, regulations, taxation, safety, infrastructure. So there are several elements that come into play and appeal big time to the global companies as well as for the expansion of existing businesses. So that's where the demand for offices is actually coming from.
I can imagine it's just this huge influx of Fortune 500 companies coming into the city. You know, like you rightly said, the ease of getting companies registered are major factors. Now, if we dive deep into what do you really feel is triggering this surge?
We need to understand what sort of businesses actually are setting up. So when we look at one of the recent report by Knight Frank, it shows that the top two segments or sectors that are triggering the demand are one, business services, and two is the technology firms. Now this is a huge. When we talk about business services, what we are talking about advertisement firms, law firms, HR services, and these kind of range of business services that offer to the bigger international companies. That's when they set up in the city, they need a local firm to navigate through the system. So business services is the thriving sector. That's where most of the demand is coming from. And then we got the technology sector. Now, government of Dubai and UAE have done great job. Imagine the first minister for AI was appointed back in 2017 when no one was talking about AI. So actually vision of the government made this land as a heaven for startups and tech related companies to set up. So these two sectors alone make up to almost 70% of the overall demand for offices, and this demand is only increasing in the city.
I completely agree with you. I think this is one of the few cities around the world that has got a mapped vision in place.
100%.
And the beauty about how the UAE functions is every time they do hit a milestone, they are keeping everyone informed of how things are moving.
Yeah.
There is complete visibility between now and right up till 2040,
100%,
right?
100%. So when we talk about the economic performance, UAE GDP is growing faster than any other country in the region. This year in 2025, the average GDP growth rate has been 4.7%. But for the next year, it's even going to be faster than this. So Central Bank of UAE is expecting that UAE GDP should grow above 5.5% for the next year. It's not happening randomly. It's just because the government of UAE, especially the government of Dubai, is following an economic vision. They call it D33 Agenda. So they have very ambitious metrics, be it foreign direct investment, be it expenditure on infrastructure, be it trade metrics. So one of the most ambitious point in the agenda is that Dubai should become the top 3 economic cities in the world. Now ask yourself, how come a city can become a top 3 economic city in the world if its existing businesses don't expand and if new businesses don't register? So if government is going to achieve that particular goal, that means more and more businesses will come and start their businesses, and current businesses will expand. And this D33 agenda is doing very well. As per one of the recent report, during the first half of this year, almost around 643 new greenfield FDI projects were launched in Dubai.
Wow.
If you understand what is greenfield FDI,
that's just exactly what I was supposed to
thank
ask
you.
you.
So, as opposed to normal foreign direct investment, greenfield mean when a foreign company comes into your country and sets up a new factory.
Okay.
It doesn't acquire the existing business, but sets up something from the ground. That means that company actually have a long vision and the confidence in the economy. So, during the first half of this year, Dubai achieved the highest number of greenfield investment as compared to any city in the world. And you would be surprised when I tell you that the top investing nation was which one? It was USA.
Interesting.
The second one was UK. Third, Saudi Arabia. Fourth, India. So these people are serious people, you know. They map things in advance. So that means this surge of commercial real estate is not a short-lived wave, but it's a long term.
It's a planned vision.
It's a planned vision. So D33 is playing a massive role when it comes to trigger the demand for commercial real estate, especially the offices in Dubai.
It's very, very interesting. Aman, a question crops up in my mind. So many companies coming in, you know, a lot happening. There's a vision in place. You know, it has all the right signals for becoming this global hub for businesses, right?
100%.
How do you think we're going to cope with the supply coming in terms of, you know, so many companies, everyone's kind of looking at the UAE and Dubai as a base to kind of set up their HQs. I did mention earlier as well, talking about these Fortune 500 companies coming in. How do you think we're going to cope with all of these massive entities coming into the UAE?
Yeah, that's very interesting angle to look at. So currently the supply situation is really, you know, there's a real shortage of supply. For example, Dubai stands number 1 when it comes to global headquarter set up. But these global headquarters need bigger spaces, grade A type of work places, but there isn't much availability in the city. That's why what we see is the companies are signing lease agreement in advance prior to the completion of planned project. And this trend doesn't exist anywhere in the world because there is acute shortage. And there is a reason why there is acute shortage, because most of the Dubai's developers forgot to build office spaces during the last 10 years. And suddenly they now realize there is a huge shortage of supply. So when we talk about the specific numbers, what we see is, as per Knight Frank report, from this year till 2030, the total off-plan new projects that are in the system, they are up to 15 million square feet. Okay. So currently, Dubai has total office space of almost 122 million square feet. 15 million more is coming in next 5 years. Okay. But when we calculate the required demand, it's just like a peanut. For example, last year 70,000 new companies were registered.
That's enormous.
That's the data by Dubai Chamber of Commerce. Now, let's suppose only 20% of those 70,000 companies would actually need some space, and we only give it 1,000 square feet per company.
Okay.
Okay. So 20% of 70,000 means 14,000 companies would need on average 1,000 square feet of office space. That makes 14 million square feet as annual demand. Whereas Knight Frank report says in next whole 6 years, the total supply is just 15 million. So that means this segment will keep facing acute shortage, and it offers massive advantage and opportunities for the investors. That's why we see a lot of noise in this segment.
So perfect. While we're having this conversation, this question's kind of cropped up.
Yeah.
Why is it important for investors to start now looking into the commercial side of what Dubai has to offer in terms of real estate?
Yeah, interesting question. Look, Dubai residential market is known for producing higher rental yield as compared to any other city in the world, whether it's emerging economies or the mature markets of the world. Dubai, on average, especially its sub-residential market, produces anywhere between 6 to 8% rental yield. But what smart investors do understand that this commercial office segment, the rental yield can go beyond 10%,
Okay.
sometime up to 15%. So this passive income opportunity is huge for investors. As you know, a good portion of investors who buy properties in Dubai, their prime motivation is investment. And they want to make rental income. So a good portion of investors in Dubai are non-resident investors. That means they don't live in here, but they invest in here. So for them, the attraction for offices in order to make double-digit rental yield is huge. But there is another angle. Look, ROIs for residential market is expected to go down in coming years. Simply because if we look at the total number of existing homes in city, they are almost around 800,000 homes. But when we look at the supply in residential in coming 5-6 years, it goes above 400,000 new homes.
Yeah, it's enormous.
It's almost
expected in the coming
50%
years.
extension to the existing homes. So yeah, we do understand population is increasing and demand for homes will keep increasing, but in coming 3 years, 300,000 more properties coming online mean the current ROI might get a bit softened. Whereas when we compare this phenomena with the commercial office, it's totally other way around. Acute shortage, increasing demand means the rental trend will stay in the upward trajectory. And this offers beautiful opportunity for the investors to look into it, at least for the investment diversification point of view, because
That's a very interesting perspective
Yeah.
that you've added. Now, obviously, I do know that you've been analyzing the commercial market very closely in the last couple of months.
yeah.
How does one investor understand what areas does he need to look into? You know, what developments are out there? How do we go about checking this? You know, from an investor's perspective, there's a lot that is to offer in the residential space, but what are the key factors based on your research in the last couple of months that people need to take into consideration while thinking of acquiring a commercial property?
Well, so I think the geography, the business district is very important where that investor should look into. So currently, Dubai have more than 10 major office districts.
Okay.
Starting from the super prime such as DIFC, then Business Bay, Sheikh Zayed Road. These are the major office districts in Dubai. So we have two sort of opportunities in the city. One is the prime segment.
Okay.
The other one is the affordable segment. So we are talking about areas such as JVC, which is actually known for residential, but there are a couple of very interesting opportunities where someone can acquire an office on 50-50 payment plan. But there is always a trade-off between the affordable segment versus the prime segment, because the type of business tenants you would expect in prime segment would definitely be different, more favorable, consistent rental income, no chances of surprise. On the other hand, you see, as compared to residential, commercial market, especially the office market, is a very small one. I mean, how many, if you want to buy an apartment, how many options you would have today if you go out?
Oh, I'm spoiled for choice, right? There's so much happening in the market.
Exactly. For offices, the total opportunities or the offline projects in the city as of today are under 10. Under 10, that's it. So we have 3-4 nice projects in Business Bay. We have nothing in DIFC. We have 3-4 projects on the Sheikh Zayed Road. And then we have 3-4 projects in the affordable segments like JVC, Motor City, Majan, that kind of area. So that's all. That's the total criteria you have to choose from.
I was reading an article talking about these grade A offices, and I wanted to understand what is a grade A office, because from an investment standpoint, of course, we look at it as an area where you run your business, but for investors, the grade A element, if you can help us understand a little bit more about what classifies a grade A office compared to
Non-grade A
out there,
office,
which
yeah.
is a non-grade A office.
Yeah. No, that's one of the key fundamental or key metrics or element that investor must analyze before making final decision about investing in off-plan projects. So grade A mean a contemporary office space that offers more than just an office space. So we are talking about sustainability factors, quality of construction, amount of amenities, location, number of parkings, security features, infrastructure such as connectivity, Wi-Fi, these kind of factors. And now there is another trend going on, which I'm sure offers a competitive advantage, which is the balcony or the terrace in the office.
Okay.
So after COVID, everyone wants space. No one would like to stay confined within the office space. So terraces are another big element that add value to the grade A thing. So, but the question arises, why grade A is important for investment performance? It's just because the performance difference or performance gap between non-grade A office and grade A is huge.
No, it's interesting, right? It's because we hear a lot about this. I think it's also safe to say that the amenity element now is taken into consideration a lot more, because companies are now moving into a this whole employee-centric setup, the well-being element. So we want to. What I understand is that people want to have offices in places where they've got accessibility to different amenities, and they can have employee well-being as the center of how they run their operations.
Yeah, because it helps them two things in retention, and then hiring the high skilled people. So that's why it's important for businesses as well to have an address which is prestigious, which offers a work experience that they would not achieve in non-grade A office, which will help them to high skilled people.
Understandable. What are your top 3 projects that you think is worth looking at from an investment perspective?
Business Bay, because it's the largest business district, currently making up to 37% of the overall office space in the city, well connected with infrastructure, so and community is mature, no many empty plots, and there is a huge difference between the new projects versus the old ones, because most of the towers are old and there are many issues. That's why those offices don't achieve high rental yield. So we are talking about issues such as parking, lack of a number of elevators, old infrastructure, lack of amenity. So investing in Business Bay in some form of contemporary, especially the grade A office, I would always prefer that location. And then Sheikh Zayed Road, of course, the economic corridor of Middle East, having a commercial office right at the economic corridor, makes perfect sense. You will always have a fantastic competitive advantage having a commercial office on Sheikh Zayed Road. But if I'm constrained with the budget, then I would go for the sub-markets. For example, there is one project in Jumeirah Village Circle, and I really like that because numbers make sense. So an investor can earn between 200 to 250 dirham per square feet as annual rent, whereas the purchase price is below 2000 dirham. Now, if you do a quick math, you will see the potential ROI becomes 12 to 15% in that case. So as a off-plan project, you have the opportunity to pay 50-50 payment plan. That means 50% upon completion. Coming back to your question, it actually depends the overall budget I would like to allocate. And if I can spend 3 million or above in dirhams, I mean $700-800, then I would go for the prime location. But if I don't have that budget, but I still wanna enjoy the same benefits of having an office space, then still instead of going to buy a residential 2-bedroom in subprime market, I would prefer go for the commercial in subprime market like JVC.
You've shared a lot of interesting insights today.
Thank you very much.
Where do you see this going? Now it kind of looks like there's so much happening. Where do you see this going?
As per latest report by Central Bank of UAE, economy is expected to grow faster than this year. And the global companies and headquarters are expected to move their businesses in the city. Existing businesses will expand, so the demand pressure will be still there. Whereas when we look at the supply sector, it's still undersupplied. So what I see in coming years is, as compared to residential, which is expected to slow down because of the huge supply, the office market will keep enjoying the benefits of increasing demand and supply shortage. And thanks to the economic momentum and the regulation, D33 Agenda, and all of the enabling factors that are attracting global capital, skilled people to come and set up their businesses in Dubai, and investing in office market in 2025 or in coming years, I think makes fantastic sense for the investors.
I agree with you. I think it's got a lot of scope, right? Now, you've shared a lot of interesting insights today. You know, we appreciate your valuable analysis on areas and educating us on how things are progressing. If I was to ask you one final question before we wrap this up today, we've spoken about established areas like Sheikh Zayed Road, Business Bay, DIFC. What do you think is going to be an area that we should be taking notice of in the coming years in terms of how the commercial market is progressing?
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's very interesting question, Zishan, and really thanks for asking, because understanding the fact that the demand is increasing at a higher pace, government and the developers are actually coming up with new locations. I'm very much sure that the Dubai Creek Harbour is going to be a new addition in the office district of Dubai. So investors should keep their eye in Dubai Creek Harbour, Dubai Design District, which is a district designed for the global creative industry. Currently, Miraz only offered residential projects, but in coming months or maybe years, there will be opportunity for the investors to invest into commercial office spaces, and that will be a very strong asset class. And then DMC, Dubai Maritime City. As you know, Dubai Maritime City is world's first purpose-built maritime city. So the way they have devised this plan is there's residential, there's industrial, educational, but then there is a dedicated district for offices. So as a free zone, investing in a community that will attract global maritime industry, be it shipping, yacht selling, engineering, and all other marine related businesses, having a grade A office in a community like Maritime City makes perfect sense. Especially with the fact that government is spending billions and billions of dollars or billions and billions of dirhams to build the infrastructure around Maritime City, be it dedicated roads, Shindaga Tunnel, upgradation, Gold Metro Line. So many things are happening. So having an office space in Maritime City, I would say, would be a gold standard asset class. Not just because it's Maritime City, it's office space, it's an office segment. Then if it's a grade A, a very resilient and growing asset class, I would say.
I think it's safe to say, based on the areas that you've mentioned, in the coming years, waterfront commercial spaces will kind of take center stage.
Yes,
isn't it?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, it's just because there's no comparable as of now. I mean, having office, seafront office, it doesn't exist basically. So, and the element of uniqueness is so important for real estate. And we have seen over the last, I don't know, since I'm working, if you own an asset that offers uniqueness, that's where your leverage comes in as an investor. Because when it comes to rent or sell, you dictate the terms. So that's why I think if you own an asset, if you own an office which is sitting in an island overlooking the sea, you don't have any competition in the market.
Absolutely. Well, look, it's been an absolute pleasure. You've given us major insights on the commercial market. Well, we look forward to having you on the show again. It's great to have Aman with us. He's given us a lot of insight on how the commercial space is going to be progressing over the years. We look forward to joining you on our next podcast. Aman, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Been an absolute pleasure.
Same here. Thanks very much, Zishan.